I'm open.
I appreciate it very much because we have a lot of women on art of processing and it, as yet no men. And I find that anyone who arrives and presents themselves as someone I need to spend time with in one way or another, as you have, always seems to be perfectly timed for whatever is needed there. Azaria just recently said, we really need some men on this channel. And I was like, yeah, go find one.
She actually asked me to reach out to you, so you asking me, it all just came together.
That's really important to watch for is, does it come together really easily? Then great. That's probably a yes all around.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll start with giving just a little bit of structure, just so you have an idea. I know you're an engineer, right? And
Yep.
yeah, and I find when I work with engineers, they like to know what to expect. I'll briefly share with you what you don't likely know about, like why I really am looking forward to working with you and what my background is that applies. It's not just that I'm friends with Azaria. I look forward to telling you a little bit about that. And then we'll do a quick check-in. I call it head, heart, body, but we'll have the same structure each call. So you'll get familiar with it. And I propose that we'll do 4 calls at first, and we'll set the time and day for the next one before we get off. So does that sound good to get all that brief stuff? Is there anything you'd like me to know about you right now before I start into that?
Like my headspace.
We'll do a head, heart, body check-in, which was like the where you're at. But if there's something where you're like, I'm feeling a lot of stress because I actually need to go somewhere at 12:45, or
Gotcha.
I feel sick today.
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
Great.
No, so.
Awesome. Okay, in order to keep things extremely informative, I find that doing a check-in of what I can report from my head, and then from my heart, and then from my body. And I'll go first just so you see. Okay, so in my head, I feel some tightness and a little bit of brain fog. In my heart, I feel very open and expansive, but also tired. And in my body, I feel pretty just present, nothing particular acute yelling at me, and also don't necessarily feel awesome. But that's an improvement over the past few days. Yeah, head, heart, body, just a few words about each.
Okay. My head is feeling clear and focused, some lightness to it. My heart feels open, an open field with like endless boundaries. And my body is a little hot. I just got back from a walk, so I'm a little sweaty, and I got the AC going in my car. Yeah.
I really see this as a collaboration. And I'm so grateful for your willingness to step into, yeah, let's see what happens. And I can see this being beneficial, but especially to the part about I'm open to allowing myself to be seen. I'm open to you recording these things. Not only I'm recording them for you, but also knowing that they may eventually be published. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So that's what I mean by I see it as a collaboration. You're stepping forward. I'm willing to do this. And that's one way, it's a collaboration. I'll just say I have a surprising amount of experience directly working with men in a lot of different environments, from extremely masculine gun industry to extremely heady higher education, professors, the administration of higher education. And I left the professional world because I had inhabited I had shifted so much into the masculine way of being in order to succeed in that world and to be the primary breadwinner in my family and to be the one who holds everything together, which is not a woman's true role. That's all very masculine. I burned myself out to the point of severe illness and medical leave from work that just never ended. I will never choose to work full time again. I don't care what's happening. It nearly killed me. So I was so much in my masculine that just everything, I just got extremely sick from all the energy that I had to expend in order to do that, and spent a few years in total breakdown, barely getting out of bed. And then my journey out of that was how do I get out of my head? What does it even mean to get into my heart? And fuck you, I don't want to be in my body because it hurts there. And I, as a woman who didn't know how to be a woman and who's afraid of men, transition out of being fully in my masculine and not even knowing what feminine is. And now I've been living more in accordance with nature's cycles and healthy feminine energy and creativity and just way of being. So that's one piece, my personal experience. But then through primarily Solsara, which we'll talk about if you're not familiar with it, but it's a 3-day immersion that's centered around learning how to be in this vulnerable space, learning how to be with others, learning how to be really good listeners to yourself and others. And I walked alongside quite a few men we were like groupies. We all went to Solsara over and over again and saw each other over and over again. And one man in particular, an engineer, of the course over a few years and a lot of time together, both at Solsara and just as friends. One day he just looked at me and he was like, I finally know what you mean when you say get into your body. I finally know what you mean by say be in your heart. And I had my hand on his heart and I'm just like sending energy there. And he's just, I would just constantly ask myself, what the hell are they talking about? What does it mean to be in your body? I can't imagine being in my heart. What the hell is that? So he's the most, I think, clear example of the men over the past handful of years I've had the good luck to be able to walk alongside in a variety of ways. And it's always been around how to get out of our heads, how to get in our hearts, and how to, for men, for them to know how to be with a woman in a masculine and allow her to be feminine way. So that's one aspect. But yeah, also just, I lost the point, but I think that those were the most important pieces that I wanted to share. Oh, and the 7 years of intensive study that I've done in a similar way that I think you are, like read more books, listen to more videos, talk to more people, go to more workshops, like intensive. And the past couple of years have been integration. I've also had my personal experience going deep and hard, but not integrating anything. I like to be able to have things measurable, as you likely do too. What does integration look like? How do you do it? How would you like know if you're doing integration? But rating it. We'll do like a scale of 1 to 10 and how true does something feel? What's one more thing we could measure?
Currently, what I'm working on is working through these barriers that I create with my fears and insecurities all hit a point and like basically a crossroad, a split in my path, being like, okay, you can go this way or you can go this way. And my fear will block off the one that I actually want to go on.
Oh,
So yeah, that's what I'm actively like working on. And I'd say really being aware of my body sensations and how I'm reacting to these moments and being a red flag or like just like a flag saying, hey, here's an opportunity for you to make a different choice. You've got this barrier. Do you have the courage to fight through it and make the choice that you want to?
Oh, wow. Whew. That's awesome. That's very powerful. How would you phrase that into 1 or 2 like words? I'm hearing noticing when fear and insecurities are driving the ship, and I love that you already are aware of how your body has a big part of helping you make those choices. Do you see what I mean? Just so we could summarize it. So
I'd say embodiment. It's like a mind-body balance is what I'm looking for.
awesome. I love that. Okay. It actually helps a lot that you already know these words. Because there's a lot of people, men in particular, who are more in the conventional world, and this kind of thinking is new. There's a lot of foundation that needs to be laid, and it sounds like you have quite a bit already. So grateful. Okay, so now just whatever comes to mind, don't overthink it again. In regards to that mind-body balance and embodiment, like where would you say your experience is right now, between a scale of 1 to 10 or average over the past few weeks?
Ooh, past few weeks, if we were doing like a 1 to 10 scale, one being like not so well and 10 being excellent, I would say like a 3.
Okay. Okay.
But if you want to go like the last 4 days, I'd say a 6.
How do you tell the difference between the 3 and the 6?
Like a 3, I'm more in my head. I'm more thinking, like running through scenarios, creating stories. And the 6 is more just feeling like it's a natural flow. There's not one side pulling me one way or the other. My feelings aren't overtaking me, and my mind isn't overthinking.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Great. Okay, now I wonder, there's this embodiment, mind body balance. Okay. Do you feel like that's different from that awareness of whether or not you're in your heart? You can be embodied just by literally feeling as though you're fully present. That doesn't mean you're necessarily in your heart. So maybe just note over this next week, what does being in your heart mean? What does it feel like? How do you know the difference? In the last few weeks, what would you rate being in your heart the last few days?
Like a 1, and so the last few days, like a 4.
Okay. So same question, like how do you tell the difference between a 1 and a 4?
A lot of it is, am I thinking of questions? If I want to be like present with my partner, if I'm asking questions or if I'm thinking about what can I ask, it's more being in my head. Whereas I feel like when I'm more in my heart, they just naturally come. I can just be like, I'd really like somebody to ask me this question if I was in their position. So I feel like that's more of a being in your heart moment of compassion and empathy.
Oh, getting shivers again. That's so great. Okay, this is what I want to be asked. That's beautiful. I that's beautiful. Yeah, thank you. So what can I ask? What can I ask? Or what am I supposed to do right now? Or like that's thinking and just like being with, and the question just naturally comes up. And my guess is those questions that you allow to just arise because you're present are generally well received in some way. Is that
Yes,
okay?
that's correct.
As not questions that come are generally not very well received.
No,
Okay.
most definitely.
And actually, I'm excited to have realized that. So maybe I encourage like another way, because the reality is you will not always be able to tell when you're stuck in your head, because that's part of being in your head is it convinces you you're not just in your head. It convinces you
Mm.
that you're where you need to be. And in whatever way feels good to you, I encourage you either to just tell Azaria, if I'm not realizing it and you're feeling the way you feel when I'm in my head, give me a sign, give me an indication, give me a safe word, whatever you guys decide. So there's that. Or you could just really practice noticing, especially subtleties. Sometimes a question just hits a little bit, like, but not a, wow, I just totally got re traumatized by that question. There's a big range there. And so maybe when it's more subtle, and maybe just be watching for that and see what does it look like for her when I'm in my head, even if she doesn't say anything, because it's making her be in her head if she has to say something, but giving her the permission, be like, if I'm in my head and I'm just not getting it, here's our safe word. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, working together to be together.
Yeah, but also just doing some practice by yourself too. I'm guessing you'll get opportunities with other people as well, not just with her, to notice.
Mhm.
Did they just respond to that question? What does integration, what do you think about integration, or what do you feel about integration? What does that mean to you?
To me, it is taking what I learn, all the resources, and making it a habit or a pattern, like going through practice to create that healthy pattern and behavior.
What I also want to encourage, perhaps you already have this solid too, is that it's integration just in the tiniest pieces. Don't feel like, oh, I messed up that time or whatever. It takes tiny steps over and over again for you to reach that point of, wow, this is a habit. In the past, my habit was shit in some way. I'm noticing my habit is this. There's a long way between that. So really celebrate every time you're like, oh, I remembered what an idea of what I could do, and I tried it and it worked.
Yeah. I'm also trying to have compassion with myself for not like integrating, like being like, I missed an opportunity, but like, okay, not being too hard on myself.
That's what I was trying to say.
Because, yeah, because for me, that will actually send me in a different direction than the one I want.
A major element of integration, I would say. It's a major element because while you might believe you're being compassionate and patient with someone else, if you've been unable to be compassionate and patient with yourself, the reality is you could be a whole hell of a lot more patient and compassionate, but you have to start here.
Yeah.
I can just give you a quick tip. Once I reframed it to be actually not about me so much. If my 5-year-old daughter came to me and said, oh, mommy, I know you told me that I'm supposed to do XYZ and I didn't, and I'm being really hard on myself, chances are good that's the part of you that learned that habit of being hard on yourself. And since you have a younger daughter, maybe you could try that. And that's that third person kind of practice parts work or whatever. And how would you respond to them being hard on themselves about something like that?
Yeah.
So what would you say your level of integration has been?
I'd say about a 5.
And then how about the past few days?
I'd bump that up to 6.
Awareness is a big part of it, huh? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And what's the clear indicators of the difference between, say, a 5 or a 6? Or what does an 8 look like? What is that?
8 would be like, I effortlessly see myself doing something different.
Awesome. Man, I love the way you're defining all kinds of stuff. See, here's collaboration right now.
There we go.
I love that. Yeah. And I'll say that when I was at that point where it almost doesn't fucking matter what I do, I just have to do something different. Even if it's a tiny bit different, that's an improvement. Even if I still feel like I'm fucking up, if it's just a little bit better. That's how I had to bring my attention to it. And sometimes it was simply, I just stopped and took a deep breath. And I considered that a success. It's all in relation to how dysregulated are you. If you're really in the shit and you're like, I'm feeling so anxious and I'm really freaking out and I'm doing everything wrong, a couple little steps. Let me get me some water. I haven't eaten in a while. That's huge.
Yeah.
Just be able to give that compassion and patience to yourself.
Yeah. I give myself some pats on the back when I'm in like some hard situations and I actually feel myself, I'm taking those deep breaths and just trying to, and it's nice because it's happening now, like without having to say, okay, I'm feeling like I'm going this way. So it's like, I catch myself naturally doing it. I'm like, yay, you're doing it.
Yes, that's so huge. So huge. Yay, you already know that. And that's also an excellent example of realizing I have already integrated this practice where I effortlessly catch myself when I'm starting to catch myself far sooner.
Yeah,
Great
I do.
Normally, we won't spend as much time on that portion, but give us a good baseline to start with. However, if you're ever in a situation, it doesn't matter why, if you're in a situation where it is causing you stress to get to our call, I wholeheartedly welcome and say, please just let me know and tell me if you want to reschedule altogether. You just need another 15 minutes and or whatever it is. If you're feeling something about coming to one of our calls, please follow that. I'll tell you, I think it's 100% of the time when I've had a friend or a client, I don't want to call you a client, a collaborator, say, I'm really just fucking wrecked today. I can't. If you want to still talk, I could talk in 2 hours or something like that. That's how we roll, and everybody's a lot happier. Yeah, that's one request I make is please don't ever force or push.
Thank you.
That's a practice for you also to recognize where the adherence we have, the intense adherence we have to appointments, and our meeting has to last an hour, that's just made up. We don't have to do that. So if you're ever feeling like stressful to get there, or you know what, my head feels full, or I just feel distracted, we can end early. If I'm starting to feel like I'm really forcing it, I'll be like tapped out for now. How's that sound?
Yes, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah. One of the foundations of everything I'm doing is how can the structures and systems we've learned be helpful? And how much of it can I say, go fuck yourself? You're stupid. We use what works and let go of the rest and notice if we're feeling like, oh, I'm fucking up. No, just notice. That's a learned behavior. Okay. Checking in with yourself in this moment. What do you think would be most beneficial or helpful? Do you want to keep talking and maybe share some of what you've been learning and practicing that you're most interested in sharing? Or is there something else that you would like in the next 20 minutes or so?
I'm comfortable sharing like what I'm taking in and what I'm learning and that process, because I feel like I've been taking in a lot of things, and yeah, I'm taking steps to say find other ways of stepping into healing or dealing with some trauma or triggers. So, like yesterday, I had a consultation with a friend who does breath work, rebreathing and circular breathing. And he gave me some helpful, like just in the moment breath exercises. And then also, I scheduled it's a 3 hour block, or he's going to guide me through some breathing, some circular breathing, and go a little bit deeper into, like I said earlier, those fears and insecurities that pop up and create those barriers. Do some work as far as getting back there and finding out, can we heal you in those areas where those actually were formed?
Breathwork is really powerful for me. It's really a journey for sure. Breathwork can be extremely powerful, and it's really good to be guided for a while until you feel really.
He was the one that led the Theta portal. There are 3 other people that are part of that as well, but he led the
Aaron Overstreet.
Correct.
Cool. I took a couple of his distance classes during the pandemic. I was testing out a lot of breath work during the pandemic,
and we talked about like the trauma, like fight, flight, freeze, bond, flop.
Flop, you said?
Yeah, flop. Basically, you give up like to make it stop. Like you basically go against what you really want just to. And I can definitely see myself in situations where I flop just to get out of that uncomfortable situation and freeze. So he gave me we spoke briefly about triangle breathing, of like you're breathing in and like you have that pause and then your exhale and a pause. Is if you're in that flight mode, you're going to end up having your pause between your inhale and exhale. See if you can switch that to having the pause between the exhale and the inhale. Yeah, when you're in that trauma part of it, you're going to be taking in and holding that so that you're getting as much oxygen as you can, because you're about ready to get the hell out of there. You can flip it, and it will bring your nervous system back down more into a calm state.
I love that. I'm not sure I've ever heard that particular tweak. And yeah, it makes sense, because if you're holding your breath, right, to get as much oxygen as possible because you're about to run.
Got your own way of trying to reset your nervous system, being like, okay, there actually isn't anything here to run from. Let's switch that and calm yourself down. And he went through box breathing as well, but that one's always good for regulating yourself.
Yeah, what I'm realizing in this moment is I have known people, my daughter in particular, who was like, it makes it worse when I follow breathing and like holding your breath. It just makes it worse. And so she wouldn't do it. I think I'm understanding that there are folks who just really need to do the opposite. And I've never heard that before. And so I'm really grateful. Honestly, and that's part of integration, is sharing what you're learning, be able to speak it and guide somebody else through it, because we have so much to gift each other in our learning. And just because I'm familiar with breath work, or I'm familiar with the some of those kinds of breathing. You
Mhm.
just gave me an upgrade that I probably wouldn't have gotten.
Yeah, and you're really getting it when you're able to teach somebody else how to do it as well.
Let's do it together. I think it's important for all of us to recognize and let go of. You have to be an expert to teach. You have to be like extremely knowledgeable to teach. Like, how do we show our kids, or kids just follow us and just sponge up whatever we do?
Yeah.
We're not teaching them typically, we're just modeling. We're not experts. We all think we're total fuck ups. Parents, it's really important to never to really notice when you're like, I don't know enough yet. No, you know what maybe the person you're talking to doesn't know that yet.
Brian sent me a link to do this empathy class, and it's an 8-week course through Wise Heart. And tomorrow night will be the third week, and I've just really been enjoying it. It's a lot of stuff that I've already read in nonviolent communication, but now it gives us an opportunity to practice it. And it's just for men too. I think it brings down that feeling of judgment by men in that scenario, because we're all like, you know, not like we all are in the same boat of being like, we're here because we don't feel like we're good at this, and now we can try and do this together and practice and understand. Going through life feeling like I had 4 feelings: so angry, sad, happy, and I don't know what the fuck I am. And needs is like, what are needs? If I have a need, I'm needy. Growing up, it was easier to not express needs because then you would feel like a burden. So a lot of that is understanding what those are, which luckily for me, Azari brought home a book by, I want to say it's Brene Brown, Atlas of the Heart. And I was just like, I need to read this because it's like exactly what I've been talking about like wanting to understand what these feelings are, where the body sense, basically all of it. Like the more I know, the better I can relate. And luckily it's on Spotify, so I can listen to it on audiobook.
It's so amazing. Okay. So when you say Atlas of the Heart, I'll tell you that's one that I've just been dying to read and really haven't had the ability, time, capacity. Anytime you want to talk about Atlas of the Heart, you want to send me a video, or honestly, any of these, that's part of what I would invite throughout the week that will give you an opportunity just to talk about it. I was worried that you were a little more all over the place, but what I'm seeing is you're really focused on a few things. You're learning how to be in your heart, how to understand what empathy is. What do you understand fucking feelings are? Men, I feel I'm so angry for you and sad for you because y'all have been taught you've been taught to be emotionally immature. You've been taught to be emotionally like distant, and you've had to protect yourself in ways that's so fucking unkind and has caused a lot of challenge for the women in our lives. And so you're learning from Brene Brown, an amazing woman who just really, I'm not sure she could be a better expert. And then is it Lachelle who's teaching the course about empathy at Wise Heart?
3 men are leading it.
Oh, 3 men are leading it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. And there are, I think, outside of the 3 men that are facilitating it, I think there are 10 other men in there.
Awesome.
So it'll be interesting to see on the 3rd night if it's still consistent, because I like seeing that people are dedicated and they're like committed to it.
Yeah. The breath work is genius because it's such a primal, such a natural way of clearing big stuff. Like I've had some big fucking experiences with breath work. So that's why I was glad I had somebody right there by me. And so I'm really excited for that because you're getting out of your head. You're not just going and talking to a therapist about all this stuff. You're in your head, but learning how to be in your heart with other men, from other men. Yay. And the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flop, that's huge. I think that's just evolutionary for everyone as they start to learn it. And
it was also like when I do feel something come up in me, as I try to find it in my body sensation. And then not only that, but if I have time, like a little later, I'll try and do some parts work with it and connect with it. And it might not be even like a whole lot of time. It's just like a brief, hey, I see you. I appreciate you, just to check in. And sometimes I've said, you know what? I appreciate you. I love you. I care for you. I love that you did all these things for me. I'm in a different place. I'm working on this. Can we check in later? Because I'd love to tell you all about it. Conversation. So yeah, I've been doing parts work. Internal Family Systems is also an audiobook on Spotify. And then one that I just started yesterday, a friend posted on Facebook of saying how it's been so eye-opening and is No More Mr. Nice Guy. So dealing with nice guy syndrome or that kind of mentality and listening to what a nice guy is, I could see that I hit some of those things and other parts are like, that doesn't feel so true to me. I like this because it talks about it and then it gives practices. So it's a way of getting yourself out. It's like a guided course or guided way of getting yourself out of being a Mr. Nice Guy. And honestly, just being able to speak your needs and getting rid of that. For me, it would be moving past that people pleaser, being okay to disappoint somebody.
I see how these two things really weave in also. And your practice with parts work, it seems like you're already practicing. So when you'll be beating yourself up about something, I'm glad you've already started to integrate that parts work and you recognize a minute, 5 minutes. That's all that's really needed. We make such a big fucking deal out of everything. Oh, I don't have hours and hours to go cry or scream or whatever. That's why you need hours and hours, because you don't do the 5 minutes now and then.
And it would be nice to go deeper and hit the part, then find the next part, the exile that it's protecting and such. Just acknowledging it sometimes can bring that down.
We're all layers.
One thing that I've integrated really well, though, is I used to have this really bad self-critic, one that would, if I made a mistake, would be like, wow, you're really a fuck up. Why do you keep trying? You're just going to fail. This last month, that hasn't been around at all.
What? Yeah. Wow. Oh my God. High five, man. That's goddamn. Somehow you evicted that asshole.
I reflect back on it, I'm like, wait a minute, there's something missing here because I'm normally like really hard on myself, being like, yeah, where is that? It's more of, okay, I made a mistake. How am I going to fix this? How can I be better? What can I do? What kind of actions can I take? It's not wallowing in it and being like creating my own self pity. It's being trying to stay positive and be like, okay, I messed up. What am I going to do now?
Yes, it's awesome.
Yeah, that one was huge. I would get into those, and then that would take me down into those shame spiral.
I'll tell you what, when I really realized, I said, oh my God, if I said these things out loud, the things I'm saying to myself, if I said them out loud and anybody was walking by and thought I was talking to my kid or my dog, they would have every right to take them away from me. I can't keep doing that to myself. That's not my voice. That's my fucking stepdad's when he was a mean ass dude. It took me a long time to get that voice out, but that's all that makes so much, all the difference. It's for you to be inner critic. And sometimes as a committee might come back, but you've really, that's a leap in itself.
About a month ago, I had it creep up and try to start dictate, like telling me a story. I'm like, actually, no, we're not doing this.
Setting boundaries.
So, yeah.
Okay, so we have just a couple more minutes. And so how about we close with taking 3 deep breaths again, and then I'll ask you to give another head, heart, body check-in. Okay. So we'll start with 3 deep breaths. Yeah. Now, how's your head, your heart, and your body in this moment as we finish up?
My head still feels light, but in a good way. Still clear and say calm. My heart is still open, expansive, and yeah, go with that. My body is just feeling relaxed and here.
I'm almost crying. Thank you. So good. Yeah, it means so much to me when I spend some time with someone, whether it be in a group or an individual, and in some way we end our time and they're like, yeah, I feel very good. I love that a lot.
I've gotten used to speaking more vulnerably. I'm in the men's group, and so
It takes
it's
practice, right? You built the habit through the practice by being taught really in a mean way what you're supposed to do. And now you put yourself into a bunch of situations where people are kindly, gently, lovingly teaching you and modeling what we all wish we could have had from the get-go. And you've found those people for yourself. You've trusted your inner knowing enough to go, that's a spark. I want to check into that some more. And I'm excited to, yeah.
thank you.
Cool. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate your time and energy and look forward to seeing you next week. And I hope you have a good one.
enjoy this weather.
Thank you. I will.
All right.
Bye. Oh my God, that was so fucking awesome. That was so fucking awesome. Oh my God. Why am I so excited? I just am. I don't think I've ever had such a willing man to collaborate with. Maybe someday someone will watch this. Thank you for being on the receiving end. I look forward to taking action on the steps that I need to do and get these things published. I look forward to the evolution of this project as it gets rolling. There are a lot of ideas in my head that I haven't been able to translate out of my mouth yet, but that'll come soon. So, all right, time to go.